Everyone, welcome to Anu's classroom. So in this video we will talk about the fourth block. Okay, this is the fourth block of social processes and organizational behavior. So this is also going to be a bit lengthy. I will try to cover as much as possible from all the four blocks of this, all the four units of this particular block. Okay, so it has four main units, that is employee empowerment, organizational citizenship behavior, organizational inclusiveness, diversity management, positive approaches to work behavior. These are the units in this particular block. So we will try to cover as much as possible from this block. Okay. So it is going to be a bit lengthy. I'll try to make it as short as possible. So first unit is about employee empowerment. So what is employee empowerment? Employee empowerment can be defined as the ways in which an organization can provide their employees with a certain degree of autonomy and control in their day-to-day activities. When we say we empower the people, it is or empower employees, we are trying to give them some sort of a freedom, right? Just like how we say especially it happens with girls, right? Like boys say, yeah, I've given her all the freedom, especially when it comes to the family dynamics and all. So what exactly is being said maybe is that, yeah, I am giving them certain degree of autonomy and control in their day-to-day activities rather than forcing them to just my wishes and views, right? Maybe that is what is meant, I do not know. So that is so empowerment as in organizational context is also something similar. Okay, that employee, I'll write that down here so that you guys can read along with me. So we can define, not define actually, employee empowerment can be said or defined as the ways in which organizations provide their employees with a certain degree of autonomy and control in their day-to-day activities. According to Bowen and Lower in our textbook, they have given the definition of employee empowerment as something which refers to the management strategies. Okay, management strategies for what? For sharing decision making power. So it will be great if you can remember this and the people who said it. Okay, Bowen and Lower, I hope that is how it is pronounced. Bowen and Lawler. Okay, so it is you can think of it as authorizing or enabling an individual in the organization, in the workplace, to think, act, or behave or control their work and decision making in autonomous ways according with a certain degree of autonomy. Okay, so it is a very much ongoing process. It is a continuous process of providing all the tools, the infrastructure, training, resources, the encouragement, motivation, and all those things for your workers so that they get to perform at optimum level. So the basis for doing this or trying to provide at least a certain degree of empowerment or the illusion of having autonomy or whatever it is to make sure that your employees are always performing at their own optimum levels. So there are mainly three theoretical approaches that managers have at their disposal for empowerment. So these are theories which were formulated by earlier theorists in this in this whole psychology of workplace behavior, according to whatever they had observed. It doesn't mean that when you are managers, you have to follow any one of these theories itself. No, absolutely not necessary. You can be a pathbreaker. You can set your own theories depending upon what you understand or what you believe, what you have found to be working most successfully for your particular work, right? So all the behavior, all the theories and everything that we talk about in management is the observations of earlier managers and earlier psychologists and behavioral scientists and researchers and all those things. Okay, depending upon what they observed at that point of time, it may or may not be applicable to our present times. If it is, if we can get something from there, well and good, let us take it. If not, it is our job as managers to make it work for our company, our organization, our goals. So that is what I want to say in general to you as MBA aspirants, right? We are not doing this just to get a piece of paper with our name printed on it. We are doing this to get a job or be better at our own work, right? So that is the whole concept of it. So there are these three theoretical approaches to empowerment as per our textbook. Okay, so that is the socio-structural perspective, which concentrates on redesigning or advancing organizational policies, their practices, structures, and all those things to provide power, authority, and influence over work of employees. We have the psychological approach, which concentrates on empowering employee effectiveness through developing the competency and self-determination. We have the critical perspective, which challenges the concept of employee empowerment and argues that empowerment will lead to less precise control over employees. So that is also another thing, right? Now, how does managers play a part in empowering employees? So anything and everything a management does is to promote to promote empowerment should always have the goal of establishing a very, what you can say, a creative and open and non-threatening environment, okay, which involves motivated, dedicated employees. Okay, so the whole role of, or why as managers we should be concerned with this whole concept of employee empowerment may or may not be that all of you who are listening to me has taken HR as your specialization. If you are not, also we are learning employee empowerment. The reason being, as managers, whichever sphere of life, whichever sphere of management we are in, maybe we are finance, maybe we are accounting, maybe we are operations, maybe we are marketing, whatever it is, right? We will be working together with people, we will be managing people. So it is our responsibility to make sure that the people who work under us, or the people whom we are supposed to manage, work at their optimum levels of productivity, that they are motivated, that they are dedicated, and they are very much involved in the goal, achieving the goals of the organization, as well as upskilling themselves, right? So in order to do that, there should be have seen that if employees are given at least a certain degree of autonomy in deciding how they want things to be done, we can create a very creative, non-threatening environment where we can motivation, dedication, involvement, all these things can flourish. So how it is done is through brainstorming, by making use of quality circles and things like that. Okay, so why exactly is employee empowerment necessary? If a question comes about employee empowerment, I hope you will be able to answer why we are learning about employee empowerment now, right? For motivating employees, for ensuring creativity, make sure there is job satisfaction, help in decision making, cost savings, improve the morale of the employees, get a better management to employee relationship, make sure so with empowered employees we will have direct accountability also, job duties are more clear cut, the team structure becomes much more, what you can say, customized, things like that. So employee empowerment inventory is something, EEI, okay, employee empowerment inventory is something which is developed by earlier theorists to measure how well employees are empowered. Okay, now, as with anything, employee empowerment also comes with pros and cons. Now, pros, when you look at it, okay, that is the socio structural and psychological aspect of it. When you look at it, you can see that there is increased productivity and morale among your employees. Improved quality is expected. There could be better customer service. People might embrace change much more easily. Collaboration will be improved. Communication will be boosted. Clients and our employees both will be much more happier. But as the critical theory or the critical approach says, there are cons of employee empowerment, right? It could lead to abuse of the power which is vested upon the employees. Interpersonal relations, God knows how it is going to take a turn. There could be additional costs of training the employees to, get them empowered, because usually it is like you go to the work, your manager says something, you are supposed to do it exactly as it is. No empowerment there. Okay, but when your employees are given a certain degree of autonomy, they should be trained to handle it properly. Otherwise, they will abuse it. Otherwise, they will not know their own power. Poor knowledge and understanding could happen, right? It could lead to arrogance in certain employees, and there is a risk of security and confidentiality if you are not properly trained, if you do not know, if there are no proper policies in place to avoid misuse, things like that. There could be a security risk associated with this employee empowerment. So next, let us talk about the organization citizenship behavior, or OCB. Okay, so what is it? It encompasses anything positive, okay, that or constructive which the employees do of their own accord, of their own volition, which can support the co-workers and benefit the company. So those employees who engage in this OCB, or organizational citizenship behavior, may not necessarily be the people who are the top performance, but they are those people who are ready and willing to go that extra mile apart from satisfying the minimum requirements of his or her job. Okay, so maybe they are putting in that extra effort, sitting in a little bit late, or maybe trying to skill up a little bit more. Whatever it is, go that one extra mile, go that extra mile to get things done. Now the problem is that almost all managers expect you to go the extra mile. So even if you go a few miles extra, it becomes that yeah, you are supposed to do that kind of attitude is there. That is the reason why, like, once you have a theory, once you put it into practice, after a few years or a few decades, the problem is that they all reach that equilibrium state where it becomes the new normal, and then you'll have to reinvent, or you'll have to invent new theories, so that there is a shift. So it is all that you kind of that you remember that productivity graph we saw. Like, if there is nothing, it is low, then it becomes, there is a peak. After that, it becomes the new normal, and once it becomes a new normal, then again the productivity or the expected outcome out of it will again become less. If you have to boost the productivity again, take it to the next level, you have to introduce something new, then only it will reach its next optimal level. So that is what is happening, I believe, for all these HR concepts nowadays. The more I read about these things, and you project it to the work environment which we are generally facing, or our friends and family members are facing, and the experiences they share, what I really understand is that it is becoming or coming to a stagnation level. It is almost in its, all the existing theories are almost in its what you can say, maturity stage or something like that. And there is a need for a much more innovative idea. That ideas are coming up, definitely, yes. So that is what, right? Going the extra mile. So what is the benefit of having this OCB? Now, before going to the benefits, let me tell you there are multiple, at least two more definitions of OCB given in your textbook. Be prepared with at least one definition out of it. Okay, either Organ's definition or Van Dyne's definition, either one of it, whichever you find easy to grasp and memorize. Keep it in your mind. If a question comes about anything that is related to organizational citizenship behavior, you can start by stating this definition of OCB. Okay, so there are mainly two types of OCB. Okay, we have the organizational level, which describes the extra role behavior of employees that directly benefit the organization, like maybe organizing a clean drive in your college campus or things like that, right? Then we have the individual one. Okay, so organization, and then the second one is individual, or OCB individual. It deals with the extra role behaviors exhibited by the employees towards his or her colleagues, like maybe helping them accomplish their tasks and all. So it is a set of behaviors which directly benefit individuals, and thereby indirectly and ultimately benefiting the organization. So if your behavior, right, if that extra role behavior, that is, it is not in your job description but still you are doing it, that is the extra role behavior. If that directly benefits the organization, it is OCBO. And if it directly benefits another individual and indirectly benefits the organization, then it is OCBI. So those are the two forms of organization citizenship behavior. Now, there are multi-dimensions of OCB, like altruism, that is helping behavior directed towards individuals. So the next one is generalized compliance. So I'll just write it down here. Okay, altruism, then we have a generalized compliance, then we have what is this? Let me just practice once more. Okay, pronouncing that word. Consciences. Okay, that's how it is pronounced. It seems consciences. Okay, consciences. Sportsmanship. That is improving the amount of time spent on constructive endeavors for the organization. That is the organization sportsmanship. Okay, courtesy and civic virtue. So at least try to memorize these dimensions of OCB, because this is a repeating concept in throughout this unit. Okay. So what all does an having OCB help us? It improves productivity, job satisfaction, efficiency. It helps in customer satisfaction. It brings about group characteristics. There is support. We perceive when there is a good OCB, we perceive there is organizational and supervisory support. It helps in cost reduction, reduced turnover rates, and reduced absenteeism. So these are all implications, antecedents, benefits. All these things you can write all these points. Okay, so employees will become more more cooperative. They will exhibit more extra role behavior. There will be a increased willingness to sacrifice their own comforts so as to meet the organization's goals. Okay, so all these things you can write as, if they ask about why you should know about OCB, or why is OCB important, what are the antecedents, what are the benefits, what are the implications. However you ask about OCB, you can write the same points. It is the same, only repeated here and there, made it into a different type of sentence. But if you look closely, the common thread which runs along the entire unit is this only. Okay, it creates a sense of belongingness. It helps creating enlightened supervisors who are more aware of employees. Recruitment panel also, they are asked to look for outgoing, attentive, enthusiastic employees with a positive outlook and a can do attitude. The environment, the process, it has to be designed in such a way that it is conducive for employees to engage in OCB. And top management also should have an inclination towards OCB. Now, the next concept is diversity. So, what is diversity? What do you understand by diversity? The concept basically is that we are not all the same. It acknowledges that each individual is unique. He can have differences in dimensions such as that of gender, sexual orientation, race, ethnicity, the socio-economic status or the demographic status, their physical abilities, even the religious beliefs or their political ideas or any other ideologies that may have, right? So each person is not the same. Even twins, those two twins, they might look everything same, but they are not the same, right? So that acknowledgement that we are not all same is what diversity is all about. And it diversity helps us in exploring all these individual differences in a very safe, positive and nurturing environment, so that we are able to, or we are mature enough to understand and embrace this rich dimension of individuality. And generally, if you want to classify diversity, this can be classified as workforce diversity, behavioral diversity and cognitive diversity. So before we go into diversity management, I thought it would be great to give you guys an overview about what diversity is about. So that is why we are talking about all these things. Okay, so what, in case you guys are getting bored, you guys feel like you are not able to concentrate, I would suggest, take a pause, break this video here, go stretch your legs and drink a glass of water, come back and restart. Okay, that will be the best strategy here, because I'll be covering the entire block 4 before I wind up this video. So, what is workforce diversity? It includes all the similarities and differences among people. Okay, it could be in terms of their cultural background, the gender, their race, ethnicity, age, religion, all those things in a workplace. That is workforce diversity. Now, behavioral diversity, that will be your work styles, everything related to your behavior, the way you think, the way you work, how you learn, how you communicate, your aspirations, your beliefs, your value system, your attitude, the expectations you have out of your subordinates, all those things. That is behavioral diversity. Okay, then comes cognitive diversity. It focuses on the diversity in thinking. Okay, so behavioral diversity also, we talked about thinking styles, but when you talk about cognitive diversity, it is solely on the differences you have in thinking. Okay, your perspective, the way you interpret, the way you predict things, like the way you have that prediction, right? Like some people have intuitions, right? And the most, some people get their intuitions right all the times, whereas some people just, that they just hit, they just fall so many kilometers away from the mark, right? So that is the cognitive diversity we have. It is normal. And this cognitive diversity, if tapped into properly, is what would result in high performance when dealing with complex tasks. And in addition to all these three, that is workforce, behavioral and cognitive diversity, which is the three main types, we also have a diversity of thought. Okay, so that is and that diversity of thought, some almost similar to cognitive diversity, right? But this future thinking companies always seek out talent of thinkers who have this diversity of thought, far reaching ideas, innovative ideas. Those are the guys. Okay, diversity of thought, but mainly you should at least study these three things. Okay, now, again, there are multi levels of diversity. There is surface level diversity, which is conspicuous or easily noticeable, like the age, the gender, the race, the culture, all those things. That is surface level. Deep level is those diversities which are not easily noticeable, like the attitudes, their beliefs, the values, those things. So, those are the two levels of diversity. Okay, next is, yeah, why exactly should we be talking about diversity in this whole MBA in the first place? Why should you care about it? Some of the reasons why, as we as managerial aspirants, future managers, should be aware and always be mindful of having diversity is, you guys are going to, or we guys are going to have workers from everywhere. This is the age of globalization. Migrant workers, migrations, we go somewhere, some other people come here, right? We have women workers who might be coming from various backgrounds, who as a norm society has put a lot of other expectations out of. It is not right in any terms you come to a workplace and everything is not there, like all the other expectations out of women are not there, is not happening, right? If you do that, see, one thing is for sure, I'll tell you, like, my opinion over here is that women and men are not equal. The way society expects, or what society expects from a man and a woman, is not equal. uh, it is my just my view, right? Nothing else there. But see, women workers have a different level of task, their physical capability, their mental capability, it is different from that of men, and that is a diversity. Women and men are not equal, there is diversity, you have to accept that. But you have to try to include them as well. There are aspirant mothers, or there are people who has who have been put into certain situations where they have to do the role of a man, and like take care of the family in both ways, financially and non-financially. So sometimes the burdens, such burdens might fall on the women, similarly such burdens might fall on the men. So we never know from which background or what situation our employees are coming. We should be more inclusive, right? So we should be aware of that. Then only we can be good managers to everybody. There are aging population, political diversity is there, so all those things uh, make it more and more evident that we should all care about diversity. Now, in the workplace, diversity could again be social diversity based on your ethnics, gender, age, value diversity, that is the psychological diversity in personality or attitude. Information diversity is there, that is the level of education or the functional tenure in the organization. Some people are experienced 5 or 10 years experience, some people are newbies, and some people may have an MTech, or some people may have a PhD, while others might just have an ITI or a diploma, or maybe even 10th or 12th, right? So there is information diversity. That does not mean that we should look down or frown upon, or you know anything like that. But it should be made sure that the basic thing of why we are talking about the social processes and organization behavior, according to me, or from what I understand, is that we should make our employees, whoever it is, however they are, from wherever they are coming from, comfortable in our organization, comfortable under us, right? Only then we can progress and get everybody working towards the goal which we are all here to achieve. So that is the basic thing. So these workplace diversities, like the social, informational, or value diversities, are very diverse, and it is very difficult to assess or analyze as well. So there is, you should all. This is what I was saying. There is nothing. There is no standard manner. Okay, what works in my organization will not work in yours. What worked in my situation may not work in yours. It is different. The way we approach is different. How we ourselves are different from others is the same way our situations are also different. So there is no standard management practice. That is why we have all these various theories, because all those theories were developed by people who at a particular situation had to do something, and based out, and which they found as working, so they made a theory out of it. It may or may not be applicable to you. If it is applicable, well and fine, use it. If it is not applicable, don't try to force it in, but make your own theories, right? Do whatever it is that works. Don't uh, don't uh, hit and try to stretch it, neither don't try to cut and make it short, right? Find what works best for our situations. So, as you might now have understood, organizations cannot avoid diversity in the workplace. So, they have to find a way to make it work in their advantage. A proactive organization, a successful organization, will be the one that engages in including their employees in various decision making processes. It will reap the benefit out of this diversity of its own workforce and drain profit out of that opportunity, right? So, we should, just like how we talked about conflict, similarly, diversity also, we'll have to make it work for us. Okay, so I hope you understood the whole concept of diversity in short. We'll talk about diversity management next. So next, let's talk about diversity management, right? So what is diversity management? What is diversity? When we if a question comes about what diversity is, you can start by talking about what diversity is. So you can quote any definition of diversity. Okay, basically what diversity is it that, or diversity management is that it is the practice of addressing and supporting the multiple lifestyles and personal characteristics of people with of people within a group. That is diversity management. Now, diversity, we just saw, it is a very vast concept, right? And all the company's policies must ensure and describe that there should not be any kind of discrimination, right? Discrimination or harassment on the grounds of diversity for diversity management should be appropriate, right? That doesn't mean that you just have to observe just the legal compliances or the political requirements, but also that we should promote a culture and comfort within the organization with having people from various backgrounds. That is what I said earlier also. Everybody who's working for you, with you, around you, should be comfortable being there. Otherwise, people will go. We are not the only organization in this whole world, right? People will go, people will find better areas. So, how can you manage this diversity? Again, once again, let us recap. We can attract diverse employees, select properly, give them enough career development opportunities, and try to retain employees. Now, when does diverse framework, like we said earlier also, there are pros and cons. If not managed properly, a non-compliant environment to diversity will make it a liability. Okay, but if you're compliant, if you're reactive, and when you're proactive, your diverse workflows will go or transform from a liability to an asset, and the positive outcome to the organization or the performance of the organization also will become very high when we become a proactive, diverse, proactive organization. Okay, so that is how diversity can be managed. I hope you got this whole concept of what diversity is, what are its pros, cons, how it is, how it can go from a liability to an asset, and the various ways or basis of diversity, the levels of diversity, and things like that. I hope you got an idea about it. If a question comes about diversity, according to the question, you can write down all these things. Okay. Now, another thing that goes hand in hand with diversity is inclusion. We cannot talk about inclusion without first talking about diversity, and we cannot wind up talking about diversity without talking about inclusion, right? So, diversity is there, it exists in every part of the world, whether it be the industrial sector or the organization. However, successful organizations which are diverse will have one common distinctive feature, that is, they would have learned how to take advantage of this diversity and create a unified and, the keyword here, inclusive, okay, unified and inclusive global organizational culture. That is why they are successful. If you take any successful organization which operates in multinational level, or even a successful organization that, whatever, in whichever level it is, you will find that they know exactly how to deal with the diversity which will come part and parcel when people get together. So this is the thing. Everyone is valuable. Everyone has something to contribute to the equation of work. And the reason why those people are here in the organization is because the people of our organization felt that their potentials, their talents and experience will help reach our company goals if they join us, right? And just because of their differences, we cannot ignore their valid contributions to the organization. So a successful organization will always draw its strength from the differences of ideas and opinion and draws a very supportable decision from it. Okay, so this one thing, that diversity is not something to be frowned upon, but rather, what you can say, accommodated with open arms, is sometimes forgotten by the managers, and they forget why these differences are needed to be recognized and how important they are, how useful they can become. Okay, they forget it sometimes, which becomes a pitfall. So, apart from taking advantage of these diverse workforce that we have, it is the duty of the manager to recognize and assess this diversity. Otherwise, it will end up as miscommunications, misunderstandings, conflicts, which might easily grow out of hand. So, what is inclusion basically then? Inclusion is nothing but welcoming and acknowledging the diversity, right? Welcoming and acknowledging the diversity which makes us different and unique, and creates an environment which can strengthen and encourage an open, transparent communication, innovatory, original thoughts and ideas, fair decision making, integrity and equality. That is inclusiveness, that is inclusion. It's very important that you learn about it. Now, how can we create an inclusive organization? It requires a very broad mindset, perspective, and viewpoints from the management as well as the work staff, so that it can open door to new prospects of world views, which is more than hiring fresh talent. So it is a very much continuous ongoing process to make work better by providing inclusion. uh, a few characteristics of an inclusive organization that you can state is: an inclusive organization will always accept diversity and implement inclusive strategies to include all the diverse people. And they will have transparent policies and procedures. They will have a learning culture, and they will have consistency in practice of interactions with everyone. They will have conflict resolution systems at all levels. They will make sure that there is active participation. The vision, mission, and core values of the organization will be pro inclusive, and they'll have value of earned privilege. Privileges are not just given but rather earned. And they will always have good change management. If an organization is inclusive, then definitely people working there will have higher job satisfaction. Higher job satisfaction means naturally lower turnover, lower absenteeism, higher productivity, higher employee morale, improved creativity, improved innovation, improved problem solving skills, increased organizational flexibility, and in general it will give you better employees. Okay, so when you think about it like that, it comes naturally, right? It is obvious that these benefits are bound to come. Now, there is a relationship between diversity and inclusion. It is explained very beautifully with the graph of inclusion on the what you can say horizontal axis and diversity in the vertical axis. It is divided into four quadrants with low inclusion, low diversity. There are advantage. The competitive advantage is just average. Collaboration is average, morale is average, engagement is average, retention is average. So everything is average here. Okay, with a low diversity but high inclusion also, competitive advantage, collaboration will be low, but morale, engagement, retention will be high. With high diversity but very low inclusion, everything is low. Okay, there is no competitive advantage, no collaboration, no morale, no engagement, no retention. But with a very high diversity and very high inclusion, you get very high competitive advantage, high collaboration, high morale, engagement, retention, everything. So this is the quadrant we should all hope to achieve or be, and this is the quadrant low diversity, low inclusion is where we should definitely stay out from, right? Now, in our textbook, diversity or inclusion is talked about in three levels. We have gender diversity, we have diversity for physically disabled people, or what you can say, inclusion for people with disabilities, and we also are talking about the transgender and LGBTQ inclusion. So this gender diversity is not just about males and females, but also transgenders and LGBTQs and this sexual minority people. And in that also gender diversity. So we have a separate section for trans and LGBTQ. And in general, gender diversity, we are specially referring to inclusion with reference to women, right? Because women ratio is still significantly disproportionate at all levels in the workplace, in the workforce worldwide. And especially when we go higher up in the management, women workforce strength becomes more and more less, right? It is keeping on dropping. Why? The reason is not because women are not what you can say, women don't want to achieve, or there are no women who want to achieve or go, there are no go-getters. No, that is not the reason why. Because of all the other societal obligations, the conditioning with which women go through, and women generally tend to prefer or give importance to their family. They are more compromising in one sense or the other, right? So even if they have to let go or make a compromise for the family, they will willingly do it. And so that is what people are changing. I'm not saying that they're not changing, but it is the, when you look at the mass diverse workforce, you can see that women's ratio is still significantly lower than men's, and this is the reason why. They are always most often underrepresented, especially at senior positions. Managers give women fewer challenging roles, fewer training opportunities, promotion potential, everything compared to men, because women are not even now treated as breadwinners, or their job, even if they have equal pay, is not treated equally. Even the family situations are also like that. But I would say it is very important that no matter how other people are treating you, don't let it pull you back. You stand on your own feet. Similarly, men have their own battles to face, right? So that is the thing. It is not that women and men they are both fighting their own individual battles. There are a lot of things heaped up on men which they some men may not like, just like how some women may not like. So that is what. So even though people women have the same qualification, or even they are having to do the same amount of work, again there is pay parity still in organizations, right? If there is a woman and a man, the way you look at it from the hiring perspective also, it is like women being childbearing in nature, it is expected that okay, these girls are going to go on maternity leaves. So at that time somebody will have to fill in their place, whereas for men it is not there, it is not required, right? If it is a woman, it is expected that she will be bearing a child and she will have to take care of the child until the child is old enough, right? So at that particular point of time, women may not be able to contribute much. So if there is a promotion available, a promotion seat available, no matter how much the woman might be performing, no matter how much she might be sacrificing her own needs to achieve, managers still uh, might give that new seat, that new role to a man instead of a woman, because you don't know when that lady is going to get pregnant, if at all she's married. Otherwise, if she's not married, you don't know when she's going to marry, then she's going to go, things like that. Such kind of prejudices are still there. It's not that it is not there. Even after studying MBA and all these things, people still have that, and they call it practical. That is a practical worldview, it seems. God knows. So that is all barriers for inclusion. So there is a specific section dedicated to this concept of empowerment or inclusion when it comes to women. Now, so what are the barriers to inclusion? The glass ceiling, which is nothing but the unseen, unbreakable barrier which keeps minorities and women from growing to the upper level of the corporate hierarchy, regardless of their credentials, regardless of their qualifications or achievements. This is what I said. We have gender pay gap. Glass escalator, that is how more men are joining female dominated areas like healthcare sector and elementary school teaching. So with all these job responsibilities, men are skipping right past women to reach the top. Why? This is the basic thing, that men won't bear children and men will have women to take care of their house, so men can. Whereas women are, that is what I said, women are expected to also take care of the family. So which which the men feel, so since men have appointed women to take care of the family, so they know that women are not going to be able to put in all that much, as much effort as them into the job. So rather than giving a position to a woman, why not give it to a man who is also having the equal qualification as her? Why? Because that man will be able to give his 100% over here, because he will have his needs and his family taken care of by another woman. That is how the society is still functioning now. That is the ground reality of things. Then, so just like how men get this glass escalator, women are faced with sticky floor. That is, women are forced to accept low pay, less promotional positions, such as maybe junior or clerical or assistant positions, even in healthcare or childcare jobs and everywhere, right? So those are some of the barriers to inclusion. So when we become managers, just try to keep these things in the mind, and maybe try to take steps to change such a thing. Okay, these obstacles and barriers in inclusion, they arise due to things like prejudice, resistance to women leadership. God knows how many people are okay with a woman leading them. It feels like that some sort of, aren't there men enough in this world to lead? Now are we supposed to take orders from a woman? That kind of attitude is still there with people. It is a fact. So that is an obstacle to inclusion. So as managers, we should be able to think objectively and rise above such things. Okay, leadership style issues, family demands, pay inequality, less experience in the workforce, part-time workforce, gender role orientations, gender stereotypings, sexual harassments. There is something called as a queen bee syndrome. Okay, workplace incivility, sticky floor effect, all these things are obstacles and barriers to inclusion. Now, how can we overcome these barriers? We can do so through professional networking, through proper guidance and support of a mentor or a sponsor, self promote, help drop out women's, right? So nowadays people have like many companies are starting like reinvent, restart kind of things, wherein opportunities are given to women who by any chance had to like take a break in their career, or they want to join the workforce at a late age. Government policies are coming up in place to promote that inclusion. But just because government has passed a law or a bill or some sort of a guideline doesn't mean there is inclusion. For inclusion to happen, we all as a society has to work forward. Every manager, every family, every man, every woman should have it. Just like how a woman supports a man, man should also support a woman. These kind of changes I believe should start from the family, and it will reciprocate towards the society and the organizations, because every organization is composed of people who belong to different societies, or who come from different societies belonging to different family groups. So change should start from us, from our families, from our circles, and it will propagate. So, women empowerment, what is women empowerment? Again, it focuses on attracting, evolving, and advancing women and underrepresented population by removing obstruction, gaining stakeholder buy ins, creative, inclusive leaders, and things like that. Entrusting in women will deliver high social and economic returns. And more importantly, it is also the right thing to do, right? An inclusive organization will focus on women empowerment by creating more women in management position, female investors, and entrepreneurs. There are women who want to achieve. Similarly, there might be men who would like to take care of the family also. Both are normal. Let's normalize such things, right? Rather than try to fit everybody into that confined gender roles which we have already. As managers, future managers, it is our responsibility to have a much more broader mindset. Only then we will be able to be the change makers, change leaders of tomorrow. And all these things, especially HR people who have taken HR as the specialization, it's a humble request to all of you guys: be better than your previous HRs, be better than the HRs who are there currently, right? So yeah, so that is about inclusion for gender. Now I'll try my best to quickly cover the diversity for physically disabled and transgender LGBTQ. So we all know what transgender is, what LGBTQ is. I don't have to tell again, right? So how can we welcome such people into our organizations? First and foremost, avoid making presumptions about their gender identity or sexual orientation. It doesn't matter to us, right? Respect that person's identification. However they are identifying with themselves, respect that. Respect their name and pronunciation. Will we like it if somebody else mispronounces our name or anything about us? So it is the same thing with them. Understand that, respect that, engage with them just as you would to any other person. Okay, designate gender neutral bathrooms, prohibit discriminations against them. Right, even for physically disabled, right now there are bathrooms for designed specifically for physically disabled people, so that they can use it much more easily than the what you can say, the coffin like cubicles for the other people. Similarly, designate gender neutral bathrooms for LGBTQ as well. It will help, right? So that is how you can include them. Then coming to people with disabilities, how can you include such people? So what is a disability? Once again, it is something, it is an umbrella term which covers all the impairments or activity limitations and participation restrictions. It could be a bodily function problem or a structure problem, or it could be an activity limitation, right? So it is, disability could be anything. So how can we include people with disabilities? So a few challenges we might face over there is these people with physical disabilities. Our education system right now, colleges and everything, is not as what you can say, uh, conductive to physically disabled people, right? How many colleges will have lifts? If there is a person in a wheelchair, most of the students have to use a stair. How are they going to get if the class is on top, right? Though we preach gender inclusiveness, not gender inclusiveness is fine, physical disability inclusiveness in organizations, how much of our education and training system is having that? It's something to think about, right? How many schools are what you can say conductive, or how many schools have that facilities? Yes, blind people are able to write examinations. That is not what I'm talking about. People who might be in a wheelchair, how will they do, right? So our education system, most of the schools whichever I have visited to, does not have any such facility. As is, a few have. I'm not saying none of them have, few have, but our education and training industry is lacking there, right? There is inadequate access to people like that. Social and psychological barriers will be there. Discrimination is there in hiring and promoting such employees. That should go. Inadequate accessibility is to workplaces there. How will they get commute from one place to from their place to the organization there? the pay parity again, like they may or may not be given the same pay as the other normal guys also. That will also become a big impairment for them. Okay, physical and communication barriers might be there, historical and attitudinal barriers would also be there. So these are all challenges. Now, how can we overcome this and create an inclusive and accessible workplace? We have to bring ourselves, right? We have to brainstorm and see how we can put forth inclusive practices, policies. How can we change the infrastructure so that it becomes inclusive and help in promoting such disabled workforce so as to ensure maximum productivity from them as well, is something that as managers of our organization we have to come up with, because only we know our budget, only we know our requirements and everything. So within our budget, within our requirement, how best we can include them is what we have to find out. Okay, so if the workplace is accessible, if there is a culture of inclusiveness, it will always help with optimum utilization of these candidates, and it will boost the morale and loyalty of even other staff also. When they see that even the company is treating a person with disability so well, it seeing that, the other employees will feel like, okay, the company does take care of people, the company is humane. So it boosts the others morale along with the person with the disability, right? And it helps in creating job opportunities for disabled people and enhances the company's image also among its customers, the community and suppliers, right? So those are a few benefits of including people with disabilities. So that is the whole thing about diversity and inclusion. Now we will talk about the positive approaches to work behavior, which is the last unit in this block as well as the course. No, we cannot talk about positive approaches without talking about optimism, right? Optimism, what is optimism? The power of positive thinking in general. So you can define it as the cognitive characteristics in terms of generalized positive outcome expectancy or positive thinking in general, right? It is optimism is positive thinking. Now, optimism is in the human nature, right? As early as what you can say, when there is good there is bad, or when there is bad there is good. So optimism has been there always, and from the early days psychologists also have realized that many people had a positive bias to themselves than the actual reality, and that is what is optimism all about. And optimism is also an individual difference. Why? Because some people, not all people have the same degree of optimism. Some people are highly optimistic, whereas some people are generally highly pessimistic. So there are varying degrees of optimism also. So optimism helps in motivating, and what you can say, optimism is something which comes with motivated employees, and it will help in motivating other employees. So it has a very desirable characteristic of achievement, health, perseverance, right? Of all these things which help organizations. So optimism is very important when it comes to workplace, and there are positive and different approaches to this optimism in workplace, like spiritual intelligence, emotional intelligence. All these things also will help in maintaining that optimism and that productivity in workplace. So what is happiness then? So positive approach. So first part we talked about is optimism. Next we'll talk about happiness. So this is all happy. Okay, this whole unit is talking about how happy you can be while making yourself miserable trying to memorize all these things. What an irony, right? So happiness, what is it? Happiness is nowadays, you might have seen, right? Everywhere you look, there is happiness index, happiness measurement. So it is something which has been readily embraced by majority of people, and it right now appears to be more valued than your pursuit of money or moral goodness or going to heaven even. All the people want right now is that they want to be happy. So since this whole concept of psychologists trying to discern happiness and optimism and all these things in this roughly around the past 30 years, happiness, study of happiness, how we can attain happiness is very important. Even in India, you turn to any corner, you have motivation classes, you have optimism classes, what all, right? How you can sleep well, yoga classes, physical wellness, mental wellness, all these things. Why are we doing all these things, going behind all these things? All these things to be happy, right? And then you say, and all these things require money, and we say that so money can actually buy happiness, right? We say money can't buy happiness, but whatever training you need to undergo to make yourself happy, or if you want to buy something to make you happy, if you want to eat something that makes you happy, you need money. So happiness will need money. Okay, so we will get money, that becomes a worry, that leads to job stress. So that is this rat race. Oh my god, I can go on and on, but that is not why we are here. Okay, so why do we have this increased attention towards happiness and well-being right now? Why? Because people are understanding or recognizing, what you can say, or people views are changing about how they want to live, right? Quality of life is becoming more and more important than economic prosperity. Nowadays, what do? When we get some money, do like our fathers and forefathers, what they would have done with money is they would have kept it aside or invested and made to with an aim of making sure that their next generation won't live in a miserable life like theirs. Right? That was what our forefathers or our fathers might have done. But what are we doing right now? Whatever money we get, we spend it. We enjoy our life, and if anything is left, we'll save it. That is what we are doing now, right? Why is that? Because our parents and their parents thought of economic prosperity as the big thing. But right now, so for them, it was okay. For economic prosperity, they were ready to forsake their quality of life. But for our generation and maybe the coming generations also, quality of life is more important than economic prosperity. So personal happiness is becoming more and more important. And there is a growing trend towards individualism. Right? A number of valid and reliable measures also have been developed, which has allowed the study of well-being and established itself as a very serious and recognized decisions. There are a lot of trainers who specialize in happiness. Right? So, is this happiness something which is objective or subjective? So, generally, we interchange happiness and well-being interchangeably, right? We use it interchangeably. We say that if you are well, that means you are happy. If you are happy means we assume that you are well, right? So the reason why we are interchanging and using happiness and well-being is because of the subjective nature of it. Okay, so satisfaction or subjective well-being is can be equated as the satisfaction of our with our life plus the effect. So this is one of the reasons maybe that like nowadays children just can't cope with minor disappointments even because they are not happy anymore with their life. They get pushed to depression fast. So life satisfaction is very important, right? How if we are not satisfied with our own life or the people around us, then we feel that our life is not worth, right? So the effect is that it has both emotional side which is both positive and negative. Okay, and these positive and negative moods are associated with our everyday experiences even. So the reason why this shift is there, the reason why we are seeing this change in trend is because of this entire, what you can say, shift in how we perceive life or what is important for us in our life. Okay, that being different, and it will change after a few generations. This what you can say viewpoint that we are currently going through will change. Our future progenies will have a different attitude towards what they want from life. Whatever they give more importance in life, that's going to change, just like how it has changed with us, right? So definitely, but happiness and well-being, one thing that we cannot ignore is that they have their own benefits, right? It enhances the creativity and diverging thinking. It has its own positive effects, right? It simulates playing with new ideas. Happy people have been found to persist longer at a task that is not very enjoyable in itself, and they are better at multitasking. They are more systematic and attentive, right? Well-being is associated even with the longevity of our own lives even, right? So yeah, so that is about happiness. Next we'll talk about emotional intelligence. Okay, EQ or EI, emotional intelligence. It is the summative of all the abilities, the competencies and skills which signify a collection of knowledge in order to cope with life effectively. So it is very much closely related to the professional and personal growth of individuals who have to take decisions under very stressful and difficult situations. So the whole construct of this emotional intelligence refers to individual differences in the perception, processing, regulation and utilization of the emotional information which we have. So these differences in emotional intelligence have shown to have very significant impact on our mental and physical health, our work performance, social relationships and all those things. So, how can you define EQ? It is very good if you can go and study the definition of EQ. Okay, it is defined as the ability to perceive emotions, access and generate emotions so as to assist thought, to understand emotions and emotional knowledge, to reflectively regulate emotions so as to promote emotional and intellectual growth. Now, there are many models of emotional intelligence based on, models based on ability would be, important characteristics will be perceiving emotions, using emotions to our advantage, understanding emotions, and even initiating emotions. So, that is based on ability. Now, we have, based on trait, it has the 6 seconds emotional intelligence assessment, Swinburne University emotional assistance test, shuttle self-report emotional intelligence test, all those things. So those are intelligence models, emotional intelligence models based on trait, so ability and trait. Then we have mixed models like the 4 branch model, Goldman's emotional competency, Baron's emotional social intelligence model, and all those things. So if you guys can, um, try to read through those models of intelligence. If it is proving to be quite challenging, at least study those different model names and keep. Okay. Now, emotional intelligence can be applied in leadership, in team building, conflict resolution and management, all those things. Okay. So that is about emotional intelligence. Now let's talk about spiritual intelligence, and we will wind this video. Okay. It's become too long, right? Really sorry about that. So, what is spiritual intelligence? Spiritual intelligence is something which is foundation for both emotional and intellectual intelligence. Okay, IQ and EQ. It is the ultimate intelligence, you can say. So, IQ, EQ, and SQ. All these three correspond to three distinct neural arrangements in the brain, it seems. SQ, or spiritual intelligence, that is, you can consider as the core, okay, central core. Then we have a unconscious core in our brain, and we have the outer consciousness. So spiritual intelligence is the central core of our brain's consciousness. IQ helps us in serial thinking. EQ helps us in associative thinking. When we say don't take decisions based on emotions, how these emotions come? Emotions come as a result of associating one event with something else, right? If you just take that one particular incident alone, you will not feel any emotion. But this person has been behaving like this to me, or this guy has always, I have always felt that this manager has some prejudice against me. See, that is why he is doing this now also. Last time also he has scolded me. I don't know why he's doing that. That kind of thinking, when you associate different incidents and link them together, that is when you get emotional, right? So EQ is associative thinking, IQ is serial thinking, and SQ, spiritual intelligence or spiritual quotient, is unitive thinking. Okay, so SQ is something which allows us to be creative, change rules, alter situations, help us to dream, aspire, see and use the limits of both types of understanding and compassion. Okay, so SQ allows us to ask if we want to be here, or do we like what we are seeing, would we rather change it, or should we create a totally new one? So change makers, people who are okay with going with the flow, those differences are all coming from your SQ, your central core. So that is spiritual intelligence. Again, spiritual intelligence also, you have multiple definitions. If you can, try to memorize at least one of them. Okay, so that is the whole concept of spiritual intelligence. It is the ability to apply, manifest, and embody spiritual resources, values, and qualities to enhance daily functioning and well-being. So, is it religion? Now, no. Spirituality and religion, though they might seem or they do overlap even at certain places, you must understand that spiritual intelligence is not the same as religion. Okay, religion is focused on all the rituals and beliefs and all with regards to what is sacred and all. Okay, spirituality is not that. Spirituality is not religion. Spirituality refers to the individual experiential elements of meaning and transcendence. It is not religion. Religion is all the rituals and stuff. Okay, spirituality is what we believe or what we have experienced within ourselves. So that is, there is a very big so it is, though it might feel small, but if you think deeper with your spiritual core, you will find that it is actually different. And what we want in an organization is to have that spiritual intelligence. Okay, look past religious differences and see that spiritual intelligence. So that is spiritual quotient in general. Okay, so it is something that gives you the wisdom, the compassion, your integrity, joy, love, creativity, peace, all these things. Okay, you can even call spiritual intelligence as the intelligence of the soul. Now, this spirituality at work can be understood as the recognition that employees have an inner life, okay, which nourishes and is nourished by meaningful work which takes place in the context of community. Okay, so spirituality at work addresses mainly three aspects: your inner life, meaningful work, community. So the spirituality performance connection is established by leaders who possess a strong spirit friendly orientation. Okay, so that is spirituality. So how can, so why is spirituality, again, spiritual intelligence necessary in an organization? To find and use the deepest of the deepest inner resources, from which comes the capacity to care and power to tolerate and adapt, to develop a clear and stable sense of identity, to able to be able to discern the real meaning of events and circumstances, and be able to make meaningful work or work meaningful, to identify and align personal values with a clear sense of purpose, understand where and how each of the sub above is sabotaged by ego, and which means we should be able to understand and influence the true cause, to see the truth. Forget the Maya, see the truth is what spirituality is all about. Okay, it is not religion. Never confuse spirituality with religion, especially after learning about it in MMPC 11. I request all of you guys, not just in your professional life but also in your personal life, understand the difference. Okay, give a distinction. Keep religious differences aside. It is their own matter. It doesn't matter whether it be your personal relations or your professional relations. Look at the spiritual side, okay, and don't look at the religious side of things. So this spiritual intelligence, therefore, it contributes a lot to managerial leadership, effective managerial leadership. Why? Because managers with greater self-awareness and self-knowledge, which are components that come from SQ, will be able to be better leaders, and be able to, what you can say, create that diversity, create that inclusion and everything, right? Be able to understand people as humans. So they bring about effective employee engagement and all those things in the workforce. So that is about spiritual intelligence and positive, what you can say, positive approaches to work behavior. So with that, we are concluding this video. I hope this was useful to you. I have tried to cover the concepts which I felt would be good to cover, which might be a little bit tough. So your exams are tomorrow. All the very best. I hope that you all will be able to write well. I hope that you will find all your questions easy, right? Use your presence of mind. This is something which is, these two blocks are, when you, now I hope that if you go through the textbook, you'll be able to catch it better, right? So all the very best. My prayers go with you. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope to see you in the next video.